Look at it. So we have any changes to the agenda? Greg in the exempt session. So we have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, no, agenda is approved. About consent items.
No, I was, no, you're good. You're fine. One question I had after this last week on, are we on the, we're in this consent item?
Yes.
So, just more general question, when I'm looking at the bills. And I sent most of my questions you answered already, but generally speaking. Are these things we're approving right now to pay, or have they been paid already?
So the
or-
prepaids have been paid already.
Okay,
So
yeah,
those are
that would, yeah,
gone. Those are gone.
perfect, that, yeah.
The bills are waiting for you to approve them
Okay.
tonight before they go out.
So, and this is such a tiny, it is an example more than anything, tiny one, really, because like I saw like on there, those wreaths, for example, for a fundraiser.
Yes. Mhm.
No big deal, right? I'm assuming that's makes us money, but my question would be, before we approve that, like, do we know what that typically makes us? Do we have a track history with that particular one? Like, that it was I think it was like 3,000 something.
Yeah, it's the senior class, right?
Yeah, does it turn into a $6,000 thing
Yeah.
for us, or?
So Julie would know the exact numbers, but every kid sells 10,
Depends.
like a certain number of wreaths.
Okay,
And then that covers their graduation expenses,
And then if there's a class
the
trip.
class trip. So they,
But generally, they're making enough for something specific. So when you're talking about seniors, they may have a little bit of a balance in their account, say left over from the junior class prom, they may not have spent it all. And so then we figure out how many seniors are going to graduate. And we take the expenses from the year before, what it costs to graduate, and we figure out about what each senior needs to sell or whatever. And then take off if they have a balance.
Yep.
And then so the ones, we'll say, okay, so-and-so needs to sell 10 wreaths or whatever.
gotcha.
Then they get that done. Sometimes they choose not to sell those wreaths and then they'll just pay like a due or whatever.
I think,
Gotcha.
but is each wreath like,
I think they're 25.
And none of that, I mean, ultimately, I don't care. I mean, it's just an example saying, hey,
Yep.
we actually make, that's a profitable thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
we're
we
not.
always make money.
Okay,
Some may be more profitable than others.
sure,
Especially if you are doing like, Mr. Luther will do cards sometimes where you can get, $10 off of Casey's Pizza or something like
Yep,
that.
yep.
When you do something organized like that, then a company will take a certain percentage
Sure.
of it, but you're still pretty much making a profit. Now, you aren't, breaking the bank. because you're making
Right,
so much.
ultimately, your profits, yeah, it's not a true profit, it's getting spent, it's a
yeah,
Right, and they have an idea of what they want to spend it for, so
Right.
they'll,
perfect.
Yeah.
and with the wreaths too, they only order as many as they've sold.
sold.
So they
They'll
like,
reverse.
they'll go out to kids.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Better, yeah.
Reed, do you
Yeah.
know how much, like when you sold
Yeah,
wreaths, were
and
they
if
like
they're
25 bucks?
t-shirts,
They're like 30 bucks.
30.
Yeah. And then they cost.
I'm picking on these poor rates right now, I'm not.
No,
It's more like,
Bill.
right, it's more, if we're approving it, I just want to make sure that.
I've already taken away the wreath sales.
It's not rates there,
That's it.
so.
But generally,
Church and state.
auditors will ask us, when there's a fundraiser, are you pre-selling
Yeah.
and then you order? And
Yeah.
generally, that's the consensus, that's what we do.
My other one that we talked about a little bit, was the things that we're gonna get reimbursed for, right? Like, or that we bill
Boosters.
out. Yeah, like, boosters example, but I mean, there's probably other things too that we send out. I don't know, like, Mike, and I know where you're coming from, like, that does get into the day-to-day stuff of which I don't care about, honestly. But at the same time, if I'm approving a bill, if I'm putting my name on the bill, or I'm approving the bill from my standpoint,
Yep.
every once in a while, I just want to check that, like, hey, that money's supposed to come, like, there's some of that's coming back to us. Like, is there a way for us to, like, I don't know, like, I like to just say, okay, if I approve that, I just want to see the month from now, like, we did get our money back for it.
You're more than welcome to ask me, what did we get, or how much did we get, or how much profit did we make? Because I can always tell you that.
Yeah.
If you're paying a bill, like in this instance, boosters,
Yeah,
boosters have agreed ahead of time what they're going to pay.
okay,
So our coaches, if they go over that amount, then they have to pay for it themselves out of their own fundraiser account. The district doesn't pay for it.
okay.
So if there's ever a time when you would like to know, you
That
know,
we got it,
oh,
or
let's
yeah.
just see what that is.
Yeah,
But when you do, so anything that's gonna be reimbursed by the boosters, I put it in the description. So if you see, like one you just saw in there, maybe you saw softball uniforms, I think.
sure.
And then I probably, or there was medals or some
Yeah,
awards, and then it
trophy,
says
yeah.
boosters.
Yeah.
That means that the boosters are going to reimburse us for that. So that helps me remember as well, to make sure that I get that checked off when I get the money.
Yeah.
And if it's not checked off, then I reach out to them. Okay. But you can ask me
Yeah,
anytime. and I can
it's
tell
more
you.
just like this month, because I was going, all of a sudden I'm like, wait, this seems like a lot this month, and I look back and I suppose it's the time of the year, but it's.
Well, it was the
Yeah,
tuition.
yeah,
you know,
yeah, which that was a great
enrollment.
explanation on that, just I didn't
Yeah.
realize that's how that works.
Yeah. So it's a law that, we have to bill, after each semester. For special ed, we have to bill by February 15th, for the first semester, and then by July 15th for the second semester. So for the most part, they come in two payments, and so you're gonna see,
Yeah.
so then we're paying that
Yeah, we
also.
get it
You're
on
seeing the
the
payment,
yeah.
you're not seeing the income. The income's rather huge because of our open enrolled in.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Tyler? Again?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor to approve the agenda or consent items?
Aye.
Aye. Those say no. Consent items are approved. Okay, correspondence this month. Okay. Move on to public forum. Like Sue is first on the list, so
As you could tell from the email, I had a couple of things that I was trying to bring together for my presentation tonight. And one of them I had planned to get to at some point down the road. We just have not had an opportunity for me to do that yet. So I'll mention that first, because the other one deals with your socialization program, behavior programs that you're already using here, and how to combine them. One of the places I've been teaching for the last 18 years, I think it's 18. Check my LinkedIn account, it's the only way I would know. But they completely overhauled their program in 2015 by selecting a set of concepts, and they apply across all disciplines for all degree programs. Concepts are kind of like brain exercises. They go with brain exercises, and when you do these, it improves your thinking and problem solving skills, like doing exercises for other parts of your body. You do it so you can apply that to a variety of other things. Well, this works the same way. And I wanted to combine that with the behavior and learning about other people by, and thanks to Michelin, the last few years, we now have concepts at the elementary level that we did not have before, which is now opened up this possibility here. If you combine two individuals at any grade level and assign them some in-class project to work on, they will both have to learn how to apply whatever concept it is you're asking them to do. But because we all have different life experiences, it can be applied in a variety of ways. But those life experiences also have an influence on behaviors, and maybe what you think about other people or how you respond to various things. So you are both learning about other people in addition to learning how to apply the concept, which can help you in a variety of ways, both within the community or even what you guys do here serving on a board, but also in a work environment where you will deal with a variety of people with different life experiences maybe than what you have had. So the two can try to find a way to work together to apply the concepts, and they can actually learn from each other. I have that happen in my online discussions with my students. One will have a life experience and put that as an example in the discussion, and another one in the class will say, I never thought of looking at it like that before. And I just, every time I see that, I just love it. It's another learning experience, and it will help the students relate to the concepts you're trying to teach at the different grade levels. That is the gist. I had been planning to get into that at a broader level anyway with more specific things, but I thought this might be an opportunity since we're still following up from Perry and going to get on to some other student behavior later on down the road here. This might be an opportunity to add to some of your teacher discussions, because they'll think up a lot more ways of going about this and a few examples I'm tossing out to consider for thought here. That's all I wanted to get to for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, so you guys all know I'm Bree Winfield, and I've been a part of the Bachelor Speech team for all 4 years of high school, and I've been able to bring home 3 All-State banners. So here's like a little background of what the All-State, what it means to go to All-State. So we performed our large group readers theater at district competition with 1 judge and received a 1 rating. And then later on, we were able to move to state, where we were in front of 3 judges and all received a 1. And then later on the next week, we heard that we were able to go to All-State, which is a huge accomplishment for us as a team. We're a small, like 1A school competing against 3A, 5A. And being able to be chosen as one of the 11 readers theaters to perform is a huge honor. So with that being said, I just wanted to express my frustration with the banners not being hung up until only recently. We've been trying to get these banners hung up for over a year. And we are disappointed that they are hung up in the East Gym, because the East Gym isn't really used very often. And we believe that these banners should be displayed either West Gym, cafeteria, or high school commons. The reason these banners should be hung up in one of those spaces is to promote our successful speech team to the public. This would showcase our incredible accomplishments to our community and visiting schools. The past individuals and team members who have gotten these banners should be honored by having their banners hung up in a more relevant area to showcase our team, as well as motivate future Baxter speech teams to strive for that accomplishment. The speech team is incredibly thankful that our banners were hung up, but would be appreciated if they were hung up in a more relevant location. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the speech team's concerns.
Thank you. Congratulations on your performance.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to principal's reports.
I'll go. One of my 7 or 8 was the speech team. Bree explained kind of the ways they go about. We kind of all know the sport, so we're used to that. With speech, it's a little different. Like I've said multiple times, when we have, and I would say this without Chris in the room, when we have really strong programs, it's not that we have great coaches, but we get a lot of interest. We have a lot of passion out of the sponsor or the coach, and that has stayed intact for the last 5 or 6. If you go way back, we didn't have a speech. We had no contest speech. So that was a feat in itself to get that off the ground, find people that want to take that on. It's back-to-back years for our readers theater. It was readers theater also last year to go to the actual performance of All-State. So Chris has asked me to step in and just watch a few times. I've had the opportunity. It was extremely strong. I would feel if I was judging even better than the one we had last year. Those people in this year were Bree and Callie Cross, Avery Wonders, Max Handorf, Grant Andrick. Also understand with speech, this was large group that they progressed all the way on, and right away, large group in Ames was last Saturday. They had their start of their individual, which is a separate season where kids aren't working with someone else and they're working individual. That was at Don Bosco today. And then Yep, and then it's kind of just a warm up. Did you guys actually just get feedback? Did you get a score? Just feedback? And then districts are in 2 Saturday, and then they qualify again. Same routine for individual. Lots of kids. We do have a class of competition speech as a class. Kids do not have to be in the class to do that. But one, it helps the coach. It helps our kids. It provides time every day. So hats off to the speech team for what they're doing. I was moved and impressed last week, and I've got a chance to watch it twice. Also, extracurricular FFA week is this week. That's always fun. Hats off to Anna, who's doing a great job with that interest in getting people involved. So drive your tractor to school yesterday. They're doing something new tomorrow, which will be fun. The last 45 minutes is an Ag Olympics. I think they're bringing in things that are ag related and doing some relays and stuff. So just hats off to those kids and her for doing that. In the sports realm, our basketball team has won 3 conference championships in a row. That's really, amazing and unheard of. New kids coming through. Coach Hass, hats off to him and his staff, and junior high coaches are preparing kids, and he will have the All-Star game, the Iowa Conference All-Star game in a 3 weeks or so, and coach gets to coach that All-Star team for ourselves. So great honor, and hats off to our kids. We lost in district semis, but really good run again. I know Hass is going to talk about it. We had parent teacher conferences. Ours at the secondary the last 3 years, probably 3 or 4. Michael brought that idea from her previous school, and it's worked well. Our numbers were down on Saturday, but the idea was let teachers choose between Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, put in the same 4 hours. It may opportunity for parents to that work evenings during the week, or maybe don't want to give up an evening at home and come out on a Saturday morning. Numbers weren't great on Saturday, but it's a great opportunity for our parents. And our numbers were they're just coming in, and we still have one tomorrow night. They're okay. They're not as good as they are in the fall for us, and I don't know if that's the same for Zach or not. Want to recognize our student reps in our interviews. So we've ran some interviews the last week for admin positions. We've asked kids to step in. I was not in the ones this week, but heard feedback on our kids. It was one of the first things I asked. How did our kids do? Did they, the one for the few weeks ago, I thought our kids were great. So I think we've had 5 kids sit in on that. One, it's great to have student representation around the table, but it's also nice to sit there and really get a different set of eyes of somebody who doesn't walk in our shoes every day. So however the process worked, the kids we asked did a great job, and I just think that's something we should continue to try to do. It's tougher in the teacher interviews. Sometimes that's a pool of one, and we're recruiting teachers, which is my next point, but to get kids involved is great. Ashley asked the first, and that will stay with me forever, that first question. Everybody talks about all the positives, what's keeping you up at night. And I answered that, and now we're 60 days in, and the sleep is cut in half again. The teacher recruitment, we're going to approve some resignations tonight. There's a couple that aren't being approved that I know will be next month because they've already verbal to me, just haven't written it down. We are beyond worrisome. No great answers. I just wanted to tell you, when you're losing 6 or 7 teachers, and I just got on Iowa Works today. I mean, we're looking for a math instructor, and so is every other metro school around us. So we can't it's just tough. So I've been thinking outside the box. We had a kid in yesterday that, we're just doing everything we can, trying to recruit wherever we can. It's only February, so you get at least 4 hours of sleep because it's only February. You get to May or June, and we've been blessed. Michael's dad stepped into a position. Lisa Cross stepped in. I don't know who the next person that may need to step in, and you just do the best you can. But I didn't want to end on a downer, so I'm going to tell you my best story of the last couple of weeks. Is we have a thing called Big Bolt, Little Bolt, and honestly, I'm not even real sure how that all works out, but I see it a lot. So we pair any high school student with an elementary student, and they spend, you're a Big Bolt, Little Bolt, is it 30 minutes a week, probably?
Like
20 minutes a week. You see it all the time. They're playing games, and you don't really get, you assume it's a really good program, but you don't get the feedback. In 1 week, I had 2 of them. One was an internal. We had a freshman student that was called out. I'm like, what's that person need to do? And I would call them incredibly an at-risk freshman student for us, and they are a Big Bolt. I went down and asked that teacher about how that's going, maybe mildly concerned, but just more curious. it's unbelievable on both ways how that's going. So it's not just the Bree Winfields or the Parent Solesleys of the world. We have at-risk kids who relate to a young at-risk kid and walks in their shoes, and that was powerful. And then I had a para come down last week from Zach's building with a little guy that was, I mean, in tears, sobbing in tears. And I stopped. I mean, and she says his big bolt missed their time and he saw him in the hallway, but he went into the classroom. So he was gone. And now the kid's in the math room. And I just said, let me go in. And I don't know what's going on. Teacher was outstanding, said absolutely, kid was excited to come out. Kid's face went from bawling to happy just because we gave him the 20 minutes, not at a scheduled time, that our teachers were flexible. The kid was flexible. That's K-12 building. That's how you retain teachers, because we can fight for Johnson and Ankeny. They don't get those experiences, but it's also hard to put that in words and in dollars. But we're doing good stuff. Those two were really good. So that's what I got.
Rob, once we have these teacher positions officially like opened after tonight, once
Yep.
we have, do we get them listed immediately? Like, where do we put them?
We actually, Julie's really good with this. So I'll catch wind, and we usually, as long as the teacher's okay, we'll put anticipated. So as soon as we know if the teacher will approve it, we can go anticipated anytime.
Okay.
Once they resign. So good news is I filled a business position this week. So just to say we filled one with somebody who's actually certified and actually has a master's, so we can actually teach dual credit in business. You know, I'll share more next month when we approve them, but that's a good thing. That one's a box check. We're also in the transition with a new principal coming in, so I'm anxious to try to get that person. So I just want to have a comment or a conversation. Are you good if I keep trying to fill them? I'm sure they will be. As I will say, if you know anybody and you just call me and say, here's what we're doing, we need to work together on that, because those people aren't out there. But soon as we get it, we put it on Iowa Works. It's a horrible, horrible site. It used to be a Teach Iowa, but now it's lumped in with everything else. So like I clicked on principal just to see, Travis asked me how many other jobs are open right now as we're kind of working through this to see and I mean, there are so many that's a scare. There's a lot of principal admin jobs right now, but you can't even find them. You click in principal and it takes you to principal insurance, and then you put in high school principal, and if they put HS, we don't see, I mean, it's not a good site. So
If you put superintendent, it'll take you to like
Construction.
construction sites,
Yes.
superintendents and.
golf courses.
Where Teach Iowa used to be.
But just these teachers. But anyway, so I reached out to the head of all student teachers at Iowa State, who's an old coaching buddy who's stepping down this year. I told him my predicament with ELA. That's 2 or 3 positions right now. And I bless him, he has the connections even better than I do with the higher ed. He said, I'm gonna tell you, I don't have one. I have not one Iowa State ELA person doesn't have a job. But I will reach out to all in the listserv that we have and at least get you the list of names that they still have. So that's coming in the next couple of days. But trying to reach out to Loris and some kid who's from Chicago, it's just really tough. But we get it out there.
Yeah. Do we list them on our website anywhere? Or can we put them there?
We put them on social media.
Okay.
There's a process that we go through to, but once we have posted them in-house and haven't had any returns, then we'll put them on social media and then on Iowa Works. And we usually on social media put the link to the Iowa Works on the post.
I just didn't know if only reason I say that is I'm like you. If I go out and just search it, I can't find anything. I went to Bondurant School. Man, was it easy from their website. Like it was as clean as could be. Like they had their positions, right on their school website. And then it was like, I just found that really interesting because I couldn't find anything until I just went to a school website.
I do that, and some are so easy to get to. I was surfing a school today trying to find out. I had heard a principal's leaving, and I was just wondering if they were filling it midterm, and I couldn't. I mean, but other ones you click on, and it's their HR department's running it. You know, smaller schools typically are tougher, but you could just at least. One thing I'm starting to know with Iowa Works, and this is something I would think about. And it just used to be we did Teach Iowa, and it just worked. Heck, back in the day, I'm so old, it was Des Moines Register in the ad, and you paid $1,000.
It was
Paid
really-
it.
It
Yeah,
was
and
you
they-
and I guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now, so many schools, and I'm not techie, so many schools are going to their own application within their website. So instead of applying at Iowa Works, You know, I'm old enough, just send me, I do that on email, just send me a copy or a letter that says you're interested. That's how desperate. But if you had something to click that's an easier apply, because Iowa Works is not easy to apply. Teach Iowa used to be, you put your stuff on and you'd say, look, apply. You may not even be interested, but it's so quick to apply. Now it's not that easy to put your stuff out there to everyone.
There is a website sort of like that. I just found out about it yesterday when I was at a meeting. It's called like Springboard or Spring, something like that. And it's through Power School. But it looks just like Teach Iowa looked. And I clicked on it and it was showing like admin jobs because the gal I was mentoring with was looking for admin jobs. And so it listed, you know, it was just like Teach Iowa, but it's like, I assume there's a fee that you sign up for or whatever, but it was eye-opening to me. I wasn't even aware of it until yesterday.
I think social media is, everybody's using them a little differently. I mean, I put it out on my, every time we have one, I'll blast it on my own, just social media, which gets a lot, but usually it's somebody, you know, somebody, hey, Rob, I don't know, but you may want to talk to this principal out here, or talk to this guy, and that's how it always is, but it'll probably work itself out, but it's been really, I asked,
Everybody's complaining about it. I mean,
Yeah.
even the people who are applying to us are complaining.
Yeah, I just
But
think
they
like,
can't get
let's
there.
try it. I mean, like, it's just like, to your point, I mean, it's a, I mean, like you said, it's not just here, I mean, it's everywhere. But it's a real
I feel
deal,
like
but
they're probably gonna be-
that principal candidates in my conversation was that, are you in a situation when you left, both of them are in buildings that they didn't fill something, or had to fill it just long-term sub, and you play the game of 9 days and then get them out of the room 9 days. What good is that to a kid? But there is no other answer. I mean, that's, what are you going to do? And we're in some high need areas when you're talking math, science, and ELA. You know, it's ag. I'm not downplaying that, but if you put us, I mean, there's things, but when we're talking about our core STEM, I mean, math, science, ELA, that's, I mean, where are these people going to come from? Because we're on Iowa Works, just so you know, for what have we been on now, probably 3 or 4 weeks with
Yes.
all those, because we put multiple ELA, the math, the science, and 0 in every single area, and I found one business person.
At what point do you go from 4 hours to 2 hours?
Of sleep.
Well, you're gonna approve a resignation, it's gonna keep me at least 4 hours until the new person comes in. For me personally, that's a bad answer.
How far in can we go? I mean, how late have we hired for it? August.
August.
School's already started.
Sped, if you roll a sped, you're in really trouble with that. There's a certain periods, we've also said we've been creative in compiling a person's position may wear multiple hats. When that person goes, or if they ever go, that's almost impossible. Let's just say, and I think Allison loves it, I'm not using her, I'm using that position. It's a half tag, half elementary music. Well, there will be no one, you can't find tag, but if you did, the sure chances of elementary music are skinny, but that's what we've done to help the budget, and we find people. It's great at the moment, it gets everybody's skill set where they want to be, but 3 years down the road, when they're not here, what's our situation? But every year it's worked out, at least with filling late with someone. We've been, you know.
Des Moines has $3 million in cuts that they have to make for their budget. And they're talking about it being teachers. And so I'm anxious to see where those people go. If they'll start, I don't know. But they're having several meetings and things like that because they have to find $3 million.
But no, but
Going back to the conferences, I guess it's not a huge problem.
that's okay. I can,
I wonder if we should send out a survey to see or ask at the beginning of next year, what is your preferred conference method? Because like it is challenging to have high schoolers, middle schoolers, because to try and get through to all the teachers. Like the scheduling is interesting, so. I mean,
so you know, we do the fall, the open,
That's
and you like
I
that.
love it.
And we'll have some teachers that kind of like that. Our teachers would probably prefer this, but they don't get the foot traffic they do when they're down there. So, because they like, it's a little, they say, I mean, I can tell you, it's a little more personal. I can get a little deeper. It's a little, I don't really want to get in deep when I've got the parent sitting here and the parent sitting there. If there's good and bad. These two have heard me say, I think parent-teacher conferences have ran their route a lot with all the social media, all the communication we should be having with parents, so easy. And with JMC, all of it, I'm not saying you do, I just don't know that it couldn't be. But it's hard to be the first one. Traditional is you have a spring and a fall conference, and it's an opportunity for parents to come in. And as Kristen said last night, I see all the good ones. You know, I see the 12 that we're gonna celebrate. I feel great, but I didn't see the 12 that I really probably could have seen. And I'm putting that data together and get to you last time of how many conferences, I like the number, how many were requested out of our teachers. Of those, how many actually showed up? Other than, I like to know full numbers, but if Chris requested 4 this year, did he get 4 or did he get 0? And we put that together just to see by reaching out and saying, hey, Ashley, can you come in and get a time? And then either you signed up and didn't show up or didn't even sign up, or you did show up. That's what we
And if
want.
there's ideas that the teachers have on like, hey, this would work better, this is what, I could have a meaningful conversation once a week with a parent rather than doing it all in 4-hour stretches on the evening of like. Just something to think about.
We reflect on it.
Pile.
You will, and you're gonna hear a lot of different, and it's just one that even I and Zach may think differently. Chris may think differently, Cassie, because I think everybody has a different style and what they want to do. Some say, man, I'm a great, the teachers that aren't great communicators, I love the parent-teacher conferences because it forces them to sit down there and get that foot traffic. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's what we would ideally like, but some parents or some teachers I know are traditional and some are like, man, this is 8 hours that I probably could have used better.
Okay.
So I guess I'll start in talking a little bit about where Rob left off, and I had it as my big one is the Big Bolt Little Bolt program.
We didn't plan that.
No, and so I just want to come with numbers and just say that, I mean, 64 high school students partner with an elementary kid. It's a massive number. It's the biggest one we've had. Anna Travis is the volunteer of this. She puts this entire thing together. She looks at different kids and how they'll partner. So it's not just here and pick. There's some thought to it. She does a great job of that. But more importantly, our middle school, high school kids do a great job of coming down on their desired time to spend time with our kids. And like Rob mentioned, it is the highlight of their week without question. And we will have kids that will have tears because they don't get to meet their big bolt that week. And it's just an unbelievable organization. The setup is great. Everything about it is truly great. So it's one of the great pieces that we have at our K-12 building that we definitely utilize on a great level. So kudos to that entire program, all the high school kids and middle school kids that put in the time with our elementary kids, and know that one day our elementary kids will be those big bolts, and that's the beauty of it all.
And one more thing, I know.
Yep, go steal it, man.
Quick, our high school kids have now sprinkled into the middle school. So some are seniors where you have a period that you're employed by Baxter, right? So we have some seniors who will go in and working with high needs kids, high need rooms, but we also have some, you just said that we've now partnered, I think 3 seniors with 7th and 8th graders. And we've seen an unbelievable boost in that too. So it's not just, we found a way to make it work both ways.
Yeah, another example beyond that program is Anna and FFA came in to our classrooms just today and early on this week, and they did some reading as far as the FFA week. So that was a great opportunity again to get our high school kids inside of our classrooms. Kids love it. They enjoy it. So I'm appreciative of her and trying to get that all set up and come in and do that with our high school kids. Over the last couple of weeks, last year we started a winter festival for kids, and it's a one-day opportunity for them to come down and spend some time in the gym. We really focus on STEM, some crafts, a guidance lesson, and then a PE part of it. And what that really does, and the whole reason that we do it, is because of our belief in collaboration and giving our teachers opportunities to collaborate. And so what I've done is really try to find an hour that I can take their 2 classes and be able to take them and do what we call a winter festival, have some fun, have some structure to it, but also allow our teachers to then have time to collaborate and do the things that they need to be a successful PLC. So kudos to everybody that helped with that. There's many pieces of that. I mean, we've had guidance counselors, STEM, which is Greg, our PE people. Those are all, Bree and Amanda are amazing about putting all that stuff together. Truly, it's them. It's not me or anybody. It's them putting it all together. So it's just an opportunity for our teachers to get together and collaborate, which I appreciate. We also went to the Iowa Wolves game as an entire elementary, which came with some nerves, taking that many there. But it was an awesome experience. We had an entire section to ourselves of the game. The videos and photos of the joy that it brought was amazing. And the idea behind it was for some, it probably was their very first experience at a game. But we partnered it with a reading program, right? So we really asked them to read, 500 minutes. And if they got 500 minutes, then they would also receive 2 complimentary tickets to a Iowa Wolves game outside of the one we attended together. So it was just a great opportunity for us to partner with all the things that we want to do with reading and be able to celebrate it with an actual trip to the game. And it was awesome. So just wanted to share that. We have had over the last couple of weeks our data days. So we always have a reading and a math data day. And that just brings our screening period. So we had our winter screener in both math and reading. So we're just looking at our scores and seeing where we currently are. And where we currently stand, we upped some areas in our math. So we're looking at a higher percentage by about 1. So we're over 80% proficient in our math in the elementary. That's K through 5. So we've upped that percentage in math, which is great. We did see a little dip in reading. And so then it really came down to the table of, okay, what are we going to do? Right. And that's really the conversation really wants to center around. It's just a dipstick of time, a once a year thing, 3 times a year thing. We want to really look at where are our kids? Are we seeing growth in certain kids? If we're not seeing growth in certain kids, what are we going to do about it? Right. So we're using the data to really be individual in where we are and the unique needs of each one of our kids. So we pride ourselves in knowing that we're a small school, but we want to know exactly what's missing and be able to diagnose the problems that they may have. And so this data day just really looks at it in depth. And so take a look at the screener and say, where are we currently? What is our data telling us? And then what are we going to do about the data? So it's been a great day. We bring in our AEA people to come and help run that. I facilitate the meeting, but we also lend ourselves to the AEA because they're the experts in that field. So we really rely on them to help bring some new ideas, some best practices that we need to insert that we don't. So it's just a great couple days that we spend together, again, collaborating for what's best for kids. So that's been a success. One thing that I did share out to you guys earlier this week was a new, I don't know how to describe it, award, I guess. We applied to be a model PLC over the last year. And a little background is we've really partnered over the last 6 years and working with Solution Tree. And Solution Tree is, the idea behind it is PLCs and these professional learning communities and belief in collaboration. So there are the 3 big ideas of PLC are focusing on collaboration, collective responsibility, and then having a focus on learning and being results oriented. Those 3 big concepts are something that we wanted to bring into elementary, but also district wide. So our district team has gone 6 times in just this year alone to Solution Tree training. Prior to this year, we've had our entire staff go to PLC institutes. Last year, our elementary had a PLC coach come in and work with us directly within our PLCs to work on agendas and data tracking sheets, anything that we can think of that we need help and support in with our PLC process. And right, so really what it's shown and what this award is, we got designated a promising practices school. So we were really looking to become a model, and what a model would become is like a world-renowned school of collaboration in the entire PLC process. And although we're not there yet, it was nice to see that we're on the right track. And so what this is a new category called Promising Practices School. And it just wants to celebrate all the great things that we put into place. So over the last 6 years, we put in a numerous amount of systems and supports to help support the entire PLC process. Again, you hear a lot of me talking about data and the collaboration and what are we going to do when kids don't get it and what are they going to do when they do get it, how are we going to enrich? So those conversations all revolve around the 4 PLC questions. And so I think it's a celebration for us and the all the hard work we put in, although we're not exactly where we want to be in the model status, which is, worldly. We are one of the 19 PLCs celebrated in Iowa, right? So you can go to the All Things PLC site. You can see Baxter, Iowa. You can see our story. Schools around the nation can go to that site and look at our story, see what we've put into place. They can copy what we've done, and that's what it's there for. So it's a big step forward in our journey. And so we celebrated a little bit. We also had that mixed feeling of we're not there yet. And so I think that was good. And we talked about that, celebrating where we've been and now where we are currently, and now what the steps we have to do to continue to move forward, which is always what we're doing. So I love the fact that we got to celebrate that. I love the fact of where we are. I love the fact that our teachers are willing to put in the work that it takes, because it's now changed the way we look at our profession, right? Truly, what teaching looked like in the elementary 6 years ago is, I couldn't even describe where it is to now, right? So the amount of time that we asked them to collaborate, get inside the classrooms, have those conversations that revolve around data and making sure that we are focusing on learning, making sure that we're making decisions that are gonna be best for kids. It's come in just an enormous way, right? So I'm proud of our teachers, proud of what they do. This is because of them. The things that we put into place, it's their hard work that's now showing to be paying off. And so proud of that moment. So they'll come in on March 18th, is it May 18th, when we have our PL? Solution Tree will come in and present the elementary with a banner that will hang in our elementary, and we'll also put some stuff on social media over the next week. So celebrate it the best we can.
Questions for?
That was a lot of information, I'm just trying to digest. I mean, as a teacher's core, how are you feeling about the fast testing? Knowing, like, I think we talked about, there was just risk with all the extra time off after break as well, so are you feeling so positive?
Yeah.
It wasn't digested.
No. None of the scores were, that's the whole point of it, right? We want it to be a direct correlation. Every single screening period, we want to be able to see that we're having successes with some, and if we're not having successes with some, why are we not? So the scores aren't, I mean, there was a small dip and 2 percentage points off the reading, so we're really talking probably district-wide, school-wide, really 4 or 5 kids, right? So now we look at those 4 or 5 kids and decide, okay, why didn't they? What are we going to do to help support them further? We also have 5 or 6 kids that had enormous amounts of growth. And so now the question becomes, what was really successful for those 5 kids that we can do with the other 5 kids? And it's just a big conversation that we really want to just try and, continue to improve our practice. And that comes from all tiers of instruction, right? The whole point of the screening stuff is to see is our tier 1 instruction having impact, is when they're inside and they're getting that direct instruction, is it having impact? And if it's not, then what are we going to do in tier 2 and tier 3 to hopefully build that up? So it's a big conversation, looks at all 3 of our tiers, focuses on the win and how we can best support them in that individual time of win time. So no, we're not, we didn't see a huge dip at all. No, we like where we're at. We know that we put emphasis over the last couple of years on our reading and trying to continue to support that. We continue to try and reach that 80% number, and we're not there yet. But like I said, in math, we are. And so now it's about maintaining, but also improving. How do you go from reaching that school-wide goal of now being at 83% school-wide in math? How do we continue to raise that bar?
Well, I think it's a testament to how well that's been working, that these younger grades, I'm just talking to Luther last night,
Yep.
how excited the 6th graders are about reading. Like, that's a testament to what's been built up to this point. So, I mean, I think it's great, excited for everybody,
Yes.
just to make sure everybody feels that way and sees that it is truly working.
Our last 3 years, we've seen a massive change in the transition from 5th to 6th and where they are. Not saying it was anybody's fault before, but
Just coming in
we're seeing a difference.
with that focus,
Yeah.
having been successful, and it's exciting to know math is headed in that direction, since we know that that's a rough spot.
On to the district audit.
Julie, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So this is the actual audit for fiscal year 21-22. So we're actually about a year behind, and that's because of the extenuating circumstances with the other auditors, or with the auditors. I'm working on the audit now for last year, so it's probably gonna be another 6 months anyway, if not more than that.
Have they found
To get-
one of their auditors had cancer or something?
Yeah, the owner.
The owner.
And they're still hired. I don't know how much they're actually getting anybody, but I had to drop some documents off to them, and they had a sign on the front door that they were not taking any tax returns. They were not doing any tax returns personally or anything for this year. I think they're all just working on schools to get caught up. So, yeah.
There's only just a handful of companies. that
It's funny,
do
yeah, because there used to be quite a few more, and a lot of them, just because of the nature of the school finance, have gotten away and they don't do schools anymore. I actually, we're up for, bid again. And so generally you like to, put something out to more than just one. You at least try three. So, I was able to get three, but I'm sure they won't bid it. I think we're still probably going to be with the same ones. And they've raised their price significantly too, compared to what it was before, but they also plug in there like how many hours it'll take them to do it and then what the cost of their people are for that too. And that has went up significantly. So, I mean, when you can't find work, you now have to increase the pay, so. So, I think the biggest takeaways, that, we can take out of this is, generally I look through all of it, but for all of you, you probably just want to look at the MD&A, and it's the management's discussion and analysis. You'll find this in every audit. Anybody who does, an audit, this is basically where you're going to find a summary of how it looks and what they think. And the biggest takeaway that you can get, now remember, this was for 21-22. So overall, in all of the accounts, our revenues increased and our expenditures decreased, which is great. In the general fund, it didn't. The expenditures outweighed the revenues, which is why we've been doing these cuts for these last few years, right? So beginning in 22-23, which was last year, is when we'll start seeing those cuts come to fruition, right? So this 21-22 is really like the stopping point before the cuts started happening, right? So, yeah. Also then, generally, I think I told you to look at the comments, and it's actually called findings at the end, towards the end. And I'll just explain to you how this happens. So the findings are, once they go through everything, they find if we've done something out of compliance or illegally or anything that we shouldn't have done, right? And so they will find those, and then they will email me and tell me what they found. And then I actually have to tell them how I'm going to fix it, or if I think, no, it really should have been that way, or our district likes it that way, or, I think you'll see in there, you read in there that the district likes to aim high on our expenditures. And then on our line item budget, where we actually tweak in and tighten up our costs and our expenditures, right? It'll explain that in there to you, that's what we generally do. So in theory, if you aim high on your expenditures, you wouldn't think that you would need to amend a budget, right? Well, because we were outspending the revenues over, at least in this year, we should have amended our budget, and we didn't. And so we got to write up for that, which that happens often with other districts.
We're probably still knee deep in COVID stuff then, we're.
Yeah.
21.
Yep. And the other one was segregation of duties. And our audit could be perfect, and they'll still write us up for that. Because, they explain it in there that it's the nature of our district. It's because we're a small district. We can't afford to have one person doing payroll and one person doing accounts payable and one person doing receivables. We can't afford that. So we do the best that we can, and we bring in the secretaries to help, interrupt the line of succession when, like from beginning to end. If there's a break in that succession, that's way better than if Julie handles a check from very beginning to end to where I actually reconcile it, right? So we try to put our secretaries in strategic places to minimize our exposure. So those are the only two write-ups we had. So good job out of you guys. We almost always have write-ups on POs that we, we didn't write the PO up before we got the invoice. It was like an after effect, and Julie's head spins around and
I
or we
witnessed it.
it does. I'm not kidding. I like to have my audit spotless, but or we may pay sales tax on an item and we don't pay sales tax, they'll write us up for that. So I've had to get a little nasty with people on that. So we didn't have any of those. That's great. It's kind of hard to be excited about an audit that's 2 years old, but I mean, it's a great audit. It was a good audit, other than we need to, and we have, is to curb those expenditures.
I know this was 2 years ago, so you guys gotta put on your way back hats, but like the big expense increases, I know COVID and all of that, but this was kind of a little bit out of that. So I was curious, like, what were those key non-instructional and instructional expenses that like went up so much?
We were actually still in it because COVID happens in 20. And we had funding for 3 years. So even if we got funding, if the expenditures went higher than what we had predicted, then they still were outweighing the revenues. See what I mean? And the revenues when
We had unpredicted revenue, we spent more.
yes, yeah, we didn't plan on that much revenue. And so, and it's, you have to spend it before they give it to you. So you have to spend it, then you submit invoices and things like that. So there's a little bit of carryover from year to year to year. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is a timing issue. You try to be as close to on time as you can with the majority of it, and then you may have a struggle here or there. But I don't mind telling you that I'm glad that COVID's over with and we're not getting any more money from them. You know, for somebody who likes to have money, it was really a headache. So trying to keep track of it all. We also have had some Homeland Security. That first year, we applied for a Homeland Security grant to help us with payroll because we had to hire more people to keep people 6 feet away from each other.
Right.
And we actually didn't get that funding for a year and a half after the spending was spent, after the expenditures were incurred. So almost 2 years, you know, and so here we are incurring it, but we haven't got the money for it. So now we have all this. It's a little bit of misrepresentation. You're overstating your expenditures and you're understating your revenues in that same year. And then you vice versa when the revenues come in, right?
The in and out is not that nice time.
It doesn't match up. No.
And do we anticipate the budget expenditures like on this one that we're gonna get for 22-23? Are we expecting that one to also have the same issue?
I hope not.
Okay.
I mean, because that's, we've made, so we made some cuts that, and some additional operational sharing agreements that would increase our revenues. So I'm hoping that we'll start to see that in 22-23, the fruition of it all.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sure this is not fun, so I know it's boring.
Thanks you for keeping tight. lips.
Yeah, I was gonna say, thanks for doing everything, because everybody, this is not pleasant, so.
It's not pleasant. And it's like one of those, things that you want to read right before you go to bed, because it's gonna make you fall asleep.
Well, and the frustrating part is it's like nothing you can do. It's like happened a long time ago. So even if it was super exciting, we can't fix it.
Yeah.
Because it's like a year ago or 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, so we're hoping the cuts we made last year and the cuts we're making this year are making the difference, but it's like, it's almost like you called it an autopsy. Like
Yeah.
Julie said, like, it's like looking at what happened.
Uh-huh.
After
Yeah.
the fact.
Yeah, remember the 3-year thing that I talk about? We deal in years of 3, last year, this year, and next year. Well, this isn't even last year. This is the year before that, so, yeah.
Have a motion to approve the district audit.
Motion.
Second. Motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Audit is approved. Legally explain this to the 101 budget guarantee.
Yep, so, do you guys know what the 101% budget guarantee is? Okay, so, if we dip in certified enrollment, or if we have, let's say, a dip in, open enrolled outs that we hadn't planned on. According to our calculations, they go by the certified enrollment, they go by the, served students for our open enrollments out. If that's going to cause a dip in either our revenues or make our expenditures go up, the DE will give us 101% guarantee. So they'll give us that money in the year that we're going to need it, right? And so it'll help us get through that year and also help us then in that next year, then in that budget, now we can account for those dips that we had. So it's sort of like a stopgap for us, right? Because like the certified enrollment that we had for in October, we don't get that money till next year, right? So when those people left, we lost that money, like right now we lost it. And so we need help with that. So that 101% is like a stopgap. And so they'll give it to us for that year. And then they turn around and take it back away from us on the following year. So it's sort of like a loan or whatever, like that. So you call it. You only get it in certain circumstances. I think it's 25%. There's a 25% threshold whether you get it or not, depending on how much you have in the bank. We actually do qualify for it this year. I think the least amount we were gonna get was, I think it was just over 100,000. It all depends on where the legislature sets the SSA, the supplemental growth amount. So if it's set at 0, which is me assuming the worst, then it's at about 100,000. If they set it higher, then we get more because the rate goes higher, right? The amount of money goes higher that we get.
When you say we qualify for this year, do you mean like
This is for 24, 25.
what budget cycle we're going into?
Yep, yeah, because that's what I'm working on right now is our budget. So
Our
basically,
enrollment is down just what, like one, or we were down, not much, we were down a
It
little.
was like 20 kids, wasn't it?
um,
For the like residential.
yeah, but
That I was.
But
gonna
we
ask about
increased
that.
on open enrolled, so the difference ended up being like,
It's like 0.1 or
I think-
0.9, it was not much.
Yeah,
The difference.
and so
one
let me,
kid.
I can actually.
But they recommend you do this every year, just like, it's, even if you approve it and you don't qualify, then,
They
but
just throw it
if you don't approve it and you did qualify, then you don't get it.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm going into a different topic. but-
I was just gonna walk in here. Can you give me
And when have we ever had to use this before?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's not like it doesn't put you on
It's not
a bad list.
Oh,
or-
no.
It's
no.
like you're penalized for 3 years later.
it happens, no,
Designed to kind of
it's,
smooth out your
Yeah.
revenue.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
have up and down in enrollment, it's
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of supposed to smooth that out. So
Yeah. So basically, they say, well, we'll give this to you to use for this year, so then on your next budget, you can account for it. And so then you've accounted for it now, and so then those coming back, okay, we're gonna take it back away from you. And it's just in the SSA that it happens. It's just like, if we were gonna get 200,000 and that they need to take that away, they just take it off the top.
And you can't do it 2 years in a row, is
Right.
that correct?
Right.
And so it's just like,
Yep. Okay. So, actually,
October.
sorry,
Do you find the numbers from October?
I didn't, but I am looking at the, go ahead.
I found the one that sent out to us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 25 on certified, it's a resident family, but we're up.
It'd be the net between the out and in.
23 Up 23 on open enrollment, so we're down like 9.
Yeah.
We're up.
Yeah, just,
So,
yeah.
yeah, it's-
So at 0% SSA, we actually qualify for just about $200,000 in 101% guarantee. It's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. If that goes up, I think the governor has asked for 2.5.
2.5 in the Senate's at 3 for that. One or the other's at
3
3.
and a quarter. Oh,
And then the third one, whichever it is, the House or the Senate, one of them hasn't set a rate yet, but the governor said 2.5, the other one said 3, and then one is
yeah,
waiting.
and so. Yeah, so in general, I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but so I'll teach y'all or talk to y'all about this in the workshop, but basically we will expect the worst, hope for the best. Because when you file your budget information to the public, once you file that, you can always lower the amount, but you can't raise it. So I will always like, let's say they haven't set the budget or set the SSA yet. I'm gonna assume that we're gonna get 0 then, because that's going to be the most taxing that we're gonna be able to do, right? And then if they set it at 2.5 or 3 and a quarter or whatever it is, that's going to be less money taxed because the state's picking up the balance of it, right? So then it'll go down, which is fine. It can go down. If I set it at 2.5 and it came in at 0, now I'm in trouble because I can't lower it now because I've already done that, right? And so now I've got to figure out how to come up with this money because I said we wouldn't tax our payers that, and so we can't, okay?
This, the roll call, all right?
Yep. So let me get that.
So someone actually have to read that.
I can read it, and I just need somebody to make a motion, to approve the resolution, and then a second, and then I'll do a roll call. So be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Exeter Community School District will levy property taxes for fiscal year 24-25 for the regular program budget adjustment as allowed under section 257.14 in the Code of Iowa. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, John,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Cory.
Yes,
Thank you.
approved. That's the Title I program for the next year.
Zach, do you want to just talk a little about what Title I does at the elementary? And then another thing, when you click on the link, there's a couple board policies at the very top. They're highlighted in yellow that we need to approve tonight because I have to upload them to the Department of Ed's website for our desk audit. We got flagged as we're missing these handful of policies in our.
So are we gonna wait the second reading then?
Yeah, we're gonna have to, because they have to get like done stack. But Zach, do you want to talk just a teeny bit about Title I and what we do here?
It pays for the salary.
Yes, yeah, so Cheryl Russell is our Title I reading teacher, and a lot of the time when we have these struggling students in reading, they will go with Cheryl in an individualized setting, and she will provide instruction to them in an individualized setting. So they aren't kids that necessarily would have an IEP, they are students that just are struggling with a certain skill within reading. We found that out through screening scores, we found that out through classroom data. And then Cheryl makes time within her day to pull those students and work on a skill that they are needed for. So a lot of the time we'll be focused on fluency or accuracy, especially in elementary. So she does a lot of intervention on those particular skills. So again, Cheryl provides instruction that we wouldn't necessarily have without the Title I funding in an individualized manner. So be able to find kids that we know are struggling, she can pull them, she can provide them intervention to help them along the way. We kind of revisited our entire system in that way that Cheryl can also do that and win. So now look at every single grade level. It's not so focused in K1, 2. We're really focused in all K-5 with that position. So
It's just a little boost too. I mean, kids aren't necessarily always in Title I. They might be in Title I for a little while, then they test out, they do great, and they're back in the regular classroom.
that's the hope.
I know
right?
like our middle, Will was in Title I for a little while. He just needed a little extra boost. And then he got caught up. He was back in the regular reading. It was great. So it's a federal program, and so we need to approve these policies. There's a few things that are required to go with it, like there's some parent and family engagement that has to go along, and there's some qualifications for the teachers. So you're welcome to read the policies, but we just have to, I'm gonna have to upload them tomorrow. I told them we could approve tonight. At our board meeting. They're pretty standard.
I didn't have any, I had just a couple questions, not concerns, just out of curiosity. One which is like, you will hold a annual meeting. I was just like, do we have that posted somewhere or like when was it?
Cass or Zach and I talked about this. And so he was unaware of that requirement until just he and I talked about it. And I was unaware that he was unaware. Because being an elementary principal, I had to do that, but that's not on Zach, like he didn't know. So he was gonna hold one, is Sheldon with
With
conferences?
conferences, it's the easiest time when we have people
Yeah.
all in the building, so we'll just put it as part of our conference schedule and know that we'll provide that meeting at that time.
Yeah, it's not like a big form. I mean, it's just the Title I parents pop in, they talk about, here's what our program is. Probably next year we'll do it fall, like fall conferences. And, they have a little compact they sign, like, here's what mom and dad agree to, here's what the kid agrees to, here's what the teacher agrees to, and we all agree that we're gonna work together. And it's not like a,
We've had these conversations, it just
It's just
hasn't been
not
in that
formal,
formal meeting
yeah.
protocol, right? So.
Now we
And
have
then
the
write-
policy.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
I'll make sure it's updated and policy and it's instituted.
Yeah, but that's definitely not any shade on Zach, like, he just didn't know.
No, I was just curious.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's actually a law that's been, like, when I was an elementary principal, like, a million years ago, we had to do it, but that was just something that was already set up when I took over, like, that was just something they already did. And so if nobody knew that here, they probably just have for a million years haven't done it. And it just got, like, they look at different policies every year on the desk audit, and this year must have been the year they decided they were looking at the Title I policies. And that's where they found this trouble, which is fine, because then you want them to find the things we're supposed to be doing, so we can fix it, so.
Yeah, and were there changes to 401(3)? Like the other sections are all completely highlighted. This one said it was revised, but I didn't know that this got revised.
So I reviewed it 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, there must, I can't remember what would have been different, but I think there was something in there. Some kind of wording or something, if I remember.
There wasn't anything that was concerning from my perspective. I just was curious, like, is there something?
It's like that safety training, we just had to review them just to say we
Yeah.
reviewed them.
Yeah, and if you don't say something a certain way or include certain words, then they'll, especially federal programs, they'll kick it right back to you.
Yeah. I don't even see this. I actually, I'm not sure what's different, because I just, okay, sorry. Or this one might have been even one. He sent me a sample and said, use this, but this seems like this one we've already had, so I must have adjusted something. How about if we approve them and then I will look back and see.
Yeah, I like I said, none of my questions had me about approving them. I just want to understand.
Yeah, I'll figure out what was the change on that.
We'll take a motion to waive the second reading and approve the 3 policies as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Say no.
And just so
Then
you
we also need a first and a second to approve the Title I program itself for next year.
and just if you're on that document with the highlighted, yellow, those 3 policies. I've just been compiling a list of the new and updated policies that come out each quarter. IASB sends out updates, or sometimes there's like an immediate one that you really have to approve right away. So if you see that it says new updated policy list 2023, some of those you've already approved in August. There was one that was in October, or that few in October, and then down there it says not yet approved. We don't need to do those yet. They're just when we get to them.
So we do it once a year.
Yeah.
In August, yeah, you remember your dad probably going through the
Yeah,
book.
so I'm just trying to keep an updated running list for you guys, so that as you go. And like, we can share this with, the next superintendent, and he can just add, because ISB will send, like, every quarter, they send, here's new policies that are changed. Some are required, like, here's required changes, some are like,
Recommended.
you could change them if you want to, but you don't have to, some are you can adopt them or not. Like, there's one, it's a new one that's, the use of AI, and that's like new policies, like, there's just more things. So there's like things to think about, like, how do you want to, what policies you want to have around AI, that kind of thing. So, but anyway, okay, then we do need to do that.
Okay, yeah, so we have a motion to approve the Title I program for 24-25.
The motion,
Second. Second, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Say no. That one's been approved. Enrollment.
couple open enrollments, they're both open enrollments. And so, Michelle Ives Atcher for her daughter Blair, to join us, eighth grader. As soon as possible, and Blair is from East Marshall. And then Rebecca. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say her name, for her daughter Madison to attend Baxter from Linville Solely.
That be for this
Well,
semester.
is that, Rob, do you know, this Madison, the little seventh grader, Linville Solely, is that to start right away?
I talked to a parent today. I think they would like to start as soon as possible.
Okay, so both just as soon as possible.
It's Skylar Stoll, if you know his sister.
One of them, does have an IEP, and typically we look very closely at kids with IEPs because our special ed is so full. But, with the student that in question, we've contacted their district, and the kid had a very minimal goal. There was no behavior, anything like that. And talking with Rob and our special ed department, they said they had space for that student, so there was no freedom. So it's. But we have, like, we check, because we're very
Right.
full, and especially with parents behavior, we just can't.
And
Level two.
we're doing these onesie twosies throughout the year, but once you have open enrollment, do you have to go through every year and be approved,
Or
or
just once.
once you're approved from the district?
Unless you
Unless you
leave
leave.
and you want to come back.
Okay.
Then you have to do that, or if you move. And you move out of the district, but you want to keep old school here. Or let's say you're open enrolled and you open enrolled for Newton and you move into the Colfax Mingo district. Then you have to, it's just a technicality, but you
Sure.
have to redo the paperwork.
Okay.
We have a motion to approve the open enrollment. Move to approve open enrollment. Second. Second. Favor, say aye. Aye. Say no. Approve. Personnel.
Right, there are a few resignations there, So we have Emily Schneider as middle school math, Rob Luther as secondary principal.
What?
I know, I think we should not approve that one. Kristen Luther as secondary teacher and coach, and then, Cassie Applegate as cheer coach.
I would just argue that we don't approve Rob's unless he guarantees us that all positions are filled.
Well, we'll have them on About November, you have plans with Julie, because I thought they didn't have a teaching degree. I filled them.
See, right.
See you right.
Got him off there.
Oh, and then do we do
No,
the
resignation.
resignation first?
So do we have a motion to approve the resignations? All motion to approve the resignations. Second. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Nations are approved as listed.
And then approve, Chris Peterson as superintendent for the 24-25 school year. Do we read all that?
Or you can.
Yeah, again, the contract is for a shared superintendent with another district, which includes which includes equal to 4 days a week, 3 days in Baxter, and may include additional duties.
Did we have that in the contract that it was gonna be for sure 3 days with us, or if we found another district that wanted 2 and we split that?
We
Yeah,
said
left it
3
as-
with us, but we didn't address the other 2
Okay.
or
If we
1.
find a
Think we
shared
can-
partner, but,
We can amend it.
Amend it.
whenever.
Okay, that's
Yep.
fine, I didn't know. Okay,
so if you find a partner that says, well, what we want 2,
Yeah,
if he's
sure.
willing to work 5 days, then
We'll amend it.
or my question was, if he still only wants 4 days, 2 with whoever, 2 with us, is that still, I mean, that's something we can, this doesn't
Yep.
lock us into
Nope.
anything.
Right.
Okay,
It just locks us in that he's here.
that's perfect, yeah, yeah, happy to have you.
so it does lock us into 4 days a week, though.
Yeah.
If we don't find a partner,
Yeah.
we're still locked into 4 days a week.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Questions? I just.
Take a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say no. Contract has been approved. All right. So it's grounds.
So this is like a big thing.
There's a lot
There's a
there,
lot.
but
So you're
probably if we
Yeah.
talk about it, it won't be that much.
Yeah,
Gonna look
so-
at it like,
yeah, it's a lot. So Julie and John brought us the name and a packet of information about a solar company that he had met at some conference or something. And so Julie and I met with a gal, lives in Nevada, but the company is out of Texas. And so we did it.
Who Emmett Smith
Emmett
actually
Smith,
owns.
the Dallas Cowboys,
One of the
the
owners.
owner. Yeah, so we can also give me more. Like that could be a win or a loss, it depends on who you ask. And anyway, so, and Julie, you can correct me if I say something like incorrectly, but, they will come and install the solar panels on the roof. And there's 0 upfront cost for us. We sign a 20-year commitment. And after 10 years, we can renegotiate, right? There's something after 10 years. And the gist of it is the solar energy that we make, we'll buy it from them. And it will be cheaper than the electricity that we would buy from the power company. So there'll be times that we still have a power bill because they're not making enough solar power. But they do all the installation. If something goes wrong with one of the panels, they are responsible for fixing it. They also provide some STEM stuff, some science learning for students, because like with the green energy, and they also try and find local people that they can train to do these green energy jobs for them. And they are also interested in training students who may potentially want to come work for them in this solar company. And they're more than happy to we'll probably do as they're in Texas. The gal might come and she's in Nevada, but they were more than happy to do a call or something with the board at a board meeting. But we felt like it was so super quick timing. We're like, we want to just get this to you, let you think about it. And if this is the direction you want to go, we can either have them call or do a call with a couple of you. And then once we give them the green light, then they kind of take it from there.
So basically, they anticipate that they'll take the 59.86% of our electricity, move it over to solar. And that's in that little packet that I attached to it. So then the cost of the panels and the installation and all that is going to come out of that 59.86%. So it's more of a net than anything, which is how we get away from the upfront costs, right? And so that's what a PPA is. Otherwise, we could just pay for them outright. And it was 800,000, I think, is what we saw in that packet. And but then I also, well, no, I'm not gonna say that. And so you see in there 800,000, and then there's some rebates and things, a few $100,000 in rebates and things like that that you'll see. So I believe what Michael was thinking about was it shows you a schedule in there. And I think pages 22, 23, and 24 is what they are. But anyway, it basically shows you the expense and then also what we're recovering in the solar, right? So, I think it's, 20 years and then, but after, I think it might be 10, I can't remember. Do you have that without you? Right here. I think it's at 20. Anyway, you can,
That's
That's the old building, right? Okay.
what,
Oh, they had the.
On
It is.
on their Google
It's-
images, it's the old building.
It's
yes,
really not gonna change.
It shouldn't change that much,
Layout.
right?
I don't know where they
Yeah,
got
well,
the,
They probably must have got like a Google photo, because then when we were on there with just that conversation with them, because we said, well, what about the complex?
because they didn't have the ag building on there, the
And they're like, oh,
the
yeah.
complex.
Because our school building was big enough, then the secondary projects, they would do, it.
Those
But like
smaller projects.
if our building wasn't big enough, then like the ag building on its own wouldn't be worth it for them, or the complex wouldn't be worth it for them. But since the main building is worth it for them, then the other ones are glad to do, because they're gonna be here anyway. So before they come, they'll have to look and see that, to add the new,
Change that much.
right, but
No, they
it'll,
don't have it.
it will want to be accurate.
You might actually get some panel.
Yeah, you might, because
Well,
it'll tear out.
because
we'll
it's
make
gonna
it
spread
longer.
out. Yeah, it's gonna spread out. It's about the same footage though. I mean, overall, so, but
Yeah.
we're spread out. I was a little bit concerned that, let's say we had a breakdown or something and this company's out of Texas, how long is it gonna take to get somebody here to fix it? They said they really don't have any, issues, that takes somebody physically to be here. And if it did, it's really more like maybe a day or so before they can get somebody here is what it is. But usually it's an online situation. They can actually remotely take it offline or put it online, or they monitor it for us.
And they said if something isn't working right, it's to their benefit to get here, because if it's not working, they're not making money on the solar of it, so they want to get here, get it fixed.
Right.
And I and Julie asked about, what happens if we have like a terrible hailstorm and it cracks all those things? That's on them, that's not our deal, that's their insurance. Yeah,
Or even if, let's say the solar panels are fine, but we have a leak underneath them. Whose expense is that to remove those? It's theirs. It's not ours.
They like get it all.
Well,
they'll
it's our
refix the
expense to
roof,
repair the roof,
and then they will put it back, they'll put their solar panels.
Unless they cost.
unless they cause it.
Maybe we should just sit on it. Solar panels, I don't know.
Didn't you say, John, you had a solar panel or two broken in the hailstorm?
No, I did.
You didn't. Oh,
Is this the company you have, John, or is this?
so I asked them, if they had any other schools, they're doing a lot of selling or a lot of promoting in Iowa, but they're really prevalent in Ohio. So, he said that they are making, sales pitches to other schools here in Iowa, but I think it's basically going to be, who's first, who's gonna be the first, but.
Can they provide references to the Ohio schools?
Oh, I'm sure they could.
I'm sure they could, I'm
Yeah.
sure they could.
I'm like, I think that, this is interesting, something I you wanna think a whole lot about.
Well, so we've never done a power purchase agreement before either. And so, I would want to, if you all decide we should pursue this, then I ask them for the agreement and we would send that off to our lawyers to make sure that it says exactly what it's supposed to say and it's not putting, any additional exposure on us that I'm not paying attention to, because, the lawyers that we have are actually school lawyers, so they're used to the bond issues and all the legalities that, yeah, so.
Yeah,
That'd
and
be
if,
great.
are they gonna ever say that something we're doing caused damage to their equipment?
Right, or not doing.
Yeah, if we're not
Cleaning.
doing appropriate
Yeah,
maintenance
yeah.
or. I mean, I think.
And they actually they actually maintain
Yeah.
them. They
Yeah,
come
we don't
here
do
once
any
a
of that.
year, and that's just part of the package is they come out once a year and make sure that everything's.
And what happens after the Well, in 10 years.
Yep,
How long
so when that's done, then, and they're talking to us like, how often did they say, do we meet that once a year?
Once a year, and then if they promised us that we get so much money in rebates and
In return.
they write us a check.
Mhm.
And so the forecast of like how much it's gonna save you and all of that, that's what they've done here.
That's what the
we
59%
provided
is,
with-
yeah.
We provided them our like usage and stuff.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yep. And you'll see that in a couple of those other pages, but I
Well,
can't
they're
remember
so
what.
darn tiny.
Oh, and it's hard to read.
I got it zoomed all the way, it's like.
Yeah. And so,
Well, John, you have yours, like, oh, who's your power company? Is that Alliant over here?
Yeah.
So, is there any restrictions through Alliant with any of this?
I don't, you have to work with Alliant, or this
Yeah.
company would work with Alliant to get
Yeah.
like the net meter agreements and all that.
Yeah.
Because MN Alliant has to, I think they have to review the plans and all that stuff and approve it.
I haven't personally experienced it. I've just heard some people say like, it all sounds good right up until you try to work with the power company and then it can fall apart sometimes. It's that's just hearsay, so I can't personally attest to that, but.
Yeah.
Something this big, it might, we really want to make sure we're on the same page with them too.
mhm. Oh, I know.
But I'm also a consumer, so like two totally different,
Yeah.
maybe Alliant's real easy to work with.
Also, you said like after the 10 years, what happens? So then we revisit our agreement at that time, and we can say, okay, we're just gonna buy our solars outright and we don't need you anymore. They can come in and take them away, and we can say, we don't want it anymore. We'll just go back to electricity, or we can continue on with them in another agreement.
That's what we call it, more part. Like, definitely like something for you guys to think about.
It's like they have them on the bus barn, that's a roof, right? If they could. Because they've got them drawn on there so specifically around pipes and stuff, looks like, can
Yeah,
they-
and so they didn't even have that on there at all. All they had was the school. And so I asked the question, I'm like, okay, why don't you have the BOAG building on there, the bus barn or
Or
sports
not the bus
complex?
barn, sorry, the shop.
Yeah, and so, so they put it on there.
Cause I can't tell from this satellite that the roof's like that. I don't know if that would throw off, maybe they just build stands,
And
for 'em, I don't know, but.
They would come out, plus they do have stands, like, cause you could, actually, if you didn't want them on the roof, they,
Like a
Offer-
sports complex, they
well, and
offer.
Yeah, that would-
they offered
right
like a garage, yeah, that's like the middle of it.
Yeah.
A good block.
Right in the middle of everybody runs.
But they offered to have like a carport, like almost like a little parking garage that you could put, they put them like over like the bus lane of the teacher's park, and then you could put them on top of there. But we said,
But I took it as they would put those on there, but we wouldn't necessarily plan on solar happening in those areas. Isn't that
yeah,
what
but
your thought was?
but remember we talked about, that Vanessa talked about, you had your choice, not during this meeting, but the previous meeting when she came out, that they could do like a carport,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. But I was thinking, because remember they didn't have those others on there, we're like, well, we'll put those on there, but I didn't think that they were actually going to solarize the shop and the complex. Because I said, well, you could keep that separate, just so that we know, it's part of it.
Because we talked about, is there a way to transfer it?
Right, because
Those are all separate meters, right?
Yeah,
and that's what they were talking about. So then you're not gonna get the savings that you're gonna get because they're so small and you have to do each one individually.
Yeah.
So then I said.
That system for each meter.
Yep, and so then I said, well, let's not worry. I didn't know if what was on the school could be, a line could be ran over to the ag and, and they said, no, you can't do that. You couldn't do that. So that's how that came about.
They would put it on, they could install it on there, but it's just no power enough for the shop.
For that, yeah, for that
And the
meter.
savings might not be, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cover insurance.
I mean, you know, I think, there's probably some additional insurance that we would probably put on just our normal building insurance. I don't know that. And they said if anything happened, they took care of them because it's based, I don't know, in my mind, it's like a lease.
Yeah, they're kind of like leasing our roof and our sun, like.
Yeah, or we're leasing the panels, you know, because at that 10 years or whatever, we were gonna take them back, you know, so.
What if we find that it's really ineffective and we're just super unhappy with it and we break contracts? To give that thing, we give that 5 years, like this is awful. We're not getting now for every 2 increases.
Yeah, so, that's where, they told us that, they were gonna come out and make sure that, meet with us to make sure that that we're getting.
And
Yeah, I don't know about the package or not, or, you know, I don't know if there's a penalty for early, you know, an early contract, you know, getting out of it or not. That's just additional conversation we need to have. If we decide to
Yeah.
go down that road. He said that they are monitoring it all the time, and if we're not making money, they're not making money. So I would imagine that they would adapt it to where we should be.
I think it's intriguing.
That's a big commitment, so this is something like 20-year commitment, so.
I was a little bit surprised that on the 59%, I'm like, well, why isn't it 100%? And so they have those graphs. See this right here? If you look at that graph, they basically are only going up to the least amount that we may use, right? Because you don't want to overshoot it and be paying for something that we aren't even using, you know what I mean? So if you see the highest they went to was the latest.
21 or 22.
Yeah, 21 or 22, it shows you there, so.
So are we technically funding, or we be putting out the 800 or almost 900,000 for it, and then the grant, like,
Yeah, then we get that ITC.
yeah, we get those grants, so ultimately that's our cost.
Yep, yep.
269.
Yeah,
I don't think those are quite,
So what kind of
Correct.
guarantee they?
that
they
federal
work?
ITC is federal income tax credit. We don't pay income tax. So. And then the
but,
bonus depreciation, we don't, again, we.
but
don't
we're actually
depreciate.
paying them, so it wouldn't be on them. Income tax credit on their company.
That could be true, yeah,
They,
for them. That's
Yeah.
still- Yeah,
I really wanna know, like, is there a guarantee somewhere that they're going to get us? I know you said they cut a check or whatever, but like, do we have to cut the check for the 884 and they get refunded?
No,
Or
so if
like-
you go back to that, so this is as simple terms as you can get the way I understood it. You tell me if it's wrong, Michael. Let's say that, in August, when we go online with the solar and we're saving $100 from what we were gonna pay Alliant, right? The solar company is gonna take 50 of that away from us to pay for the lease or the equipment. So our net savings is only the $50. You see what I mean? So that's where they're getting away with no upfront costs.
Okay. There's just a lot here
Yep.
and,
Well, like I said, I
It would be
think,
beneficial to have them.
yeah,
call
there needs to
in
be
or
a
Zoom, So you
conversation.
could ask them all these like very specific
Yeah, good.
questions, and even still then after you ask those questions, you still might want to sit on it, talk to our lawyer, all those
Yeah.
things.
A good information to start with, yeah, ask, it brings up questions that we asked.
I know there's a call to action for tonight, but I was just curious, like,
not really. I mean, I put in there that since I just plugged this in on Monday, I knew that. I mean, it took me, they had to tell me like 2 or 3 different times. I'd ask the question. I'm like, okay, you gotta tell me that again. And
It's a lot.
it is.
I was like, I looked through the stuff Friday, this wasn't there.
Yeah, and the guy was like very polished, like he didn't take a breath. Julie and I just sat there like the whole time, and then finally, it's like, what questions? And we're like, oh, what?
I mean, you could
Yeah.
tell he's
He's
done
sold
that
these a
sales
lot of
pitch a time or
times,
two.
yeah.
Too, I wonder, have an old building on there, say they could put more panels up there, is that gonna change our cost savings?
Right.
You know, so I think there's updating information.
And this might be a wonderful program, but there's also lots of schools who have solar in Iowa. And this is just one company. So I mean, John, handed us that thing, so we looked at this
Mhm.
company, but there may be other companies, other schools who are doing it that maybe like, oh, that we get, 80 cents. I have no idea, but, might be something to think about. We're gonna commit to 20 years,
Well, not out of Texas.
right?
What?
They might be local, not out of Texas.
Right.
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous. I mean, even though they said they would be here at least once a year for maintenance,
Right.
everything else was basically done remotely or, by.
I think we can talk to somebody, if they really are that prevalent in Ohio, if we can talk to a couple of schools that have had it up for years, not just in their first year, like what was your struggles the first year? How's it been subsequently? That would be good to know.
Well, I'm on at least.
One of the facilities and grounds things, could we? I'm gonna recommend it. If nobody else wants to do, that's fine, but could we make it kind of a monthly thing to start saying, what do we check off this list? Like going forward, so that we kind of hold ourselves accountable, plus whoever's supposed to be doing it, that I don't care if it's one small thing, just so that we can say that it's not just come around till this time again next year and say, oh,
This didn't get done, this.
because there's gotta be little easy things that I'm sure are getting done, and those could feel like wins, big things that we can, and maybe even we can start to kind of.
Yeah.
However is easiest for everyone, but
Yep.
just
I
at
would
least.
say some of the bigger things will be a summer.
Summer
project.
projects.
It could be on
And that's
the-
okay, yeah, absolutely,
So that'll probably take care of some of these things up here.
yeah.
And I
definitely.
wonder, like with, Bill has a maintenance request form that's, I think it's just a Google Doc. I wonder if we couldn't even find a way to just make you guys viewers and
Yeah.
you could just see like that
Yeah.
as people.
But does he update that? So like when it's done, does he
Does he move
do
it
something to make it done or?
that might be something like we could talk about, like if he doesn't, like, hey, the board wants to follow along with this, so just put a check mark that says like done or.
Or he got a bid and said, go ahead,
Yeah,
and plug that
put it
into
there.
that sheet and let us know.
Yeah.
that we're progressing on something, so we can start seeing, I don't know, just something to.
Yes.
Well, I think it makes it easier to, if there's points of transition.
Mhm. Doesn't matter who it is, because you still have this in place.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was just, I just got on the maintenance request form, so as it is now. I can only see it as a person who could put in a request, but we could, have Greg and Bree set it up that we are like also viewers.
Yeah. The Excel sheet.
Yeah, it drops in.
Yeah, so then you'll see like when if people said, well, I've asked them 100 times, you're like, when you look on the form and it's not on there, you're like,
Yeah.
well, did you fill out the form?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then you'll be able to tell too whether they actually followed the procedures.
yeah, no, that'd be great.
But we use this as a starting point.
Good.
And I'll plug in the things that we found as well. And then it'll just be like hot links to the facilities on each agenda. Okay. And I'll just update that as a living document.
I see Bree is on the Zoom, so hopefully she's listening. Help us.
Volunteered her for something.
They get that more.
Mhm.
We want a superintendent's report.
Okay, no, I don't have a ton. I also want to just kudos to the elementary. That's a huge deal. I mean, 6 years ago, when we started this journey, they were not in the place they are now. That's when we got that comprehensive status, and just the way they have over the last 6 years dug in and really made a difference is incredible. It's, but congratulations, Jason Ager, who started he dug in with Zach and beside him to help get it going. I remember it was fall parent teacher conferences and, or maybe it was spring, and we sent you guys.
COVID. COVID happened.
Yeah, COVID happened, but I remember we
First
sent you to the, before we found out. It was my first year here, it was like the fall of 18 is when we found out that you guys were comprehensive. And we sent you to the PLC conference. Wasn't it you and Jason? And you came back and you're like, this is what we need to do. Because I had just gone to PLC that summer with my former district and I was like, I know what we need to do and it's PLC. And then you guys went and you came back and you're like, yes, but how can we pay for it? And then we got the comprehensive status and then got the money that went along with it. So then Zach could send his whole staff, or Jason at the time could send his whole staff. And it's just, it's made a huge difference. And the elementary staff has just dug in and done the work. So great job to them. Okay, anyway, that was on my notes, but I want to make sure I noted that. So I met with the new Jasper County Emergency Manager, Zach and Rob and Bill and I met with them. And we talked about something, especially after Perry had just happened. And so he was able to help us test the emergency buttons and just a good resource. He can do some safety training for the staff in the fall. So that'll get put on the calendar on some of those back to school PD days. Just a really good resource. He's new, just started, I think he said December. And so he's been coming out to all the schools in Jasper County because he wanted to put a name and face and, have him be a real resource for us. So it was nice to have him. And then let's see. Doing a lot to get ready for the board workshop. So I appreciate everybody's efforts in the staff. Like there's a lot of people who have to send me reports and do this and that to get that agenda filled for those days. It's 2 really good days or 2 good evenings of learning for the board, but it's a ton of work up front for the staff. So I do appreciate that. And then the other thing that's really been kind of consuming a lot of my time lately is just doing a lot of advocacy. I haven't really ever been quite as involved with advocacy as I have been in the last couple of months. Or I guess, since kind of session started. I was fortunate enough to have a meeting with John Dunwell, he's our representative, and he set up a meeting at the Capitol with Director Snow. She's the director of the Department of Education, and then some people from her office. And then a couple of the Jasper County superintendents, just to talk about how important the AEA is to schools and some of the things that we as a small school, we have much different needs than even like a Newton or a PCM or something like that. We can't do what we need to do for our students without the support of the AEA. And then I just found out a little while ago that actually I'm going to meet with the Newton and North Polk and Bondurant superintendent tomorrow and the governor. So that's like, she wants to hear what we have to say. So kind of excited and kind of terrified to like meet with the governor tomorrow. So she just wants to hear, and again, those are districts that are different sizes. So all these things are going to impact us all differently. The Bondurants and the Newtons of the world can maybe survive this. They can hire a school psych. They can hire a special ed consultant. They can hire reading consultants. We can't. I mean, we don't have the money. I mean, let's see where we're at right now. I mean, we're cutting my position to 4 days a week, and we don't have the money to pay for the things that we need. We don't have behavior interventionists. So all the things that we would love to do, we just don't have the funding for it. So 2.5% would be great, but 3% would be better. So just, I do appreciate that the governor is willing to listen to the voice of the superintendent with 450 kids. I mean, there's a lot of bigger districts that have a lot more voters than Will Baxter, Iowa, but I do appreciate that she's taking the time to be with us. So I'll report back, but yeah, I'm excited and nervous and see how it goes, I guess.
She's gonna listen, just be
Very forthright. That's right. So, otherwise I'm just kind of looking forward to the workshop and just kind of working through all that and just the thing that like you asked, what keeps you up at night? Mine is just this whole transition. It's just so much, and the pool is so shallow. It's like, it's very nerve-wracking because like I said, in the last 6 years that I've been here, we've done a lot of things and we've done a lot of good, not that I'm like the greatest thing that's ever happened, not saying that at all, but we've done a lot of really good things. And I just hate to see all the work that's happened and all the success we've had crumble because we don't have enough money to do the things we need to do, and we don't have the staff to fill the gaps for the people who are leaving. So it's just, that's what keeps me awake at night, is just being worried about like, oh, what's the future of Baxter look like? I hope it's still rosy. I think it is. We just need to find the right people in the right seats, to continue the work.
Well, and now that we are making some headway, are things happening in terms of transition plans documented, like here's what the transition should look like? I don't know in a school if that happens like it does in other roles, but I would assume that we're thinking through, here are all the big things that you need to be aware of, the patches and like, for instance, a website, like look at all the things that have the principal and superintendent's name listed. Like, do we have an inventory of all of that we need to address? Like, those are the things that I think that would probably be good to start discussing, is how do we ensure we have a smooth transition for the big things and the little things. So that nobody's scrambling when we're just trying to deal with the actual kids and new teachers in the door, training all the new staff. But let's take care of all the easy stuff during the summer.
Right.
I think advocacy too, like you talked about, I enjoyed talking to Senator Rosebud.
Yeah,
Was that December?
yeah.
That's the first time I've been on the board for 10 years. I've never talked to a senator, but I feel kind of now, seems like the last few years, public schools have been kind of really under the microscope and not probably getting the full support they need. So I think whether they agree with us or not, I think it's important. I feel it's important for me to at least tell them how we feel and what's going on and how we're just trying to survive. And I think we're doing a darn good job of it. I mean, we listen to the principals every month, like I said, I think we say it every month. Listen to these guys, it just brightens our day almost. It's all the good things that are happening, but just trying to make sure they're aware it's hard. It's hard.
And I do appreciate, like, Representative Dunwell, he texted me yesterday morning and just said, hey, we're gonna be talking about, he listed 3 House files, and I said, can I just get your feedback? So I was like, sure. So then when I got to school, I looked him up and I reread him, and I gave him my 2 cents worth on what I thought about him. So I do appreciate that he really is trying to listen. And Senator Rosenboom, they both do seem like they wanted to listen. And Director Snow, she really seemed open to listening to what people had to say. And we'll see what the governor says tomorrow, but
Will Director Snow be with?
I don't know. I don't know if she
I
will.
wonder
or
if she would be as open with the governor sitting there.
not. Yeah, I know, it's her boss. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting. So you know how it goes. But
I think it's important for us to stress to parents or community members too, that it shouldn't be just up to a superintendent or a school board. It should be the parents of the kids, right? That it's their school that they're having to fight for. So I think it's up to us too to say, hey, if we can't hire a teacher because we don't have enough money, you need to email Des Moines and say what's going on. Because we're doing the best we can. I mean, this is every year's a struggle, but I think the more voices they hear, better.
And maybe we can, I know that there's a lot of schools doing advocacy and there's a lot of stuff out there, but can we just put together a list of, here's how AEA affects our district today? These are all the services that we are utilizing that go away if the AEA goes away. So it's personal, because I think that, before I was on the board, I didn't really think about or know the extent to which it impacts our district. So I think that would be good to put out there. So if people aren't aware, they can take that next step and reach out.
APA would be good. Like take that brochure.
yeah,
Or have it customize it to us, to our school, what I
Well, I
mean?
have
Because remember, we have.
I have the one, but I was writing on it when I was taking notes. What if I clean one?
I think you sent it to me electronically.
Oh, did I? Oh, hopefully I did. Yeah, okay. Guess we could just share that because it tells you exactly how much our flow through is and
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that would be.
yeah, we could look at that. Yeah, otherwise, this is gonna be the time of year where we're gonna see each other a lot. So we see each other today and then we are back together in the beginning of March for a couple nights. And then we have our board meeting and we've got the city school meeting. So
Is that still, it hasn't been scheduled?
Yeah, it's,
Third. We threw out two dates, so April third.
yeah, it's,
6
April
o'clock.
3rd, 6 o'clock, 6 to 7 here, and it's here at the school. We go back and forth every other year. And last year we were at the city hall, so it's here this year.
So we get
Might not have many attending, but
Yeah.
We do that like. in the
Well,
conference
like, that's, we did it in the commons last time, the new middle school commons. Yeah. that's what we did.
And we'll have a chance to review the agenda before it's.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Julie usually, we have like a copy that Julie will send it out, and then she'll like contact the library and the garden, whoever,
the heads.
the heads of those, and then they come and say their little spiel about their program that they're in charge of.
Questions? Yeah, for 2 hours with that. All right, I'll take a motion for adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
51, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Before he's dead.